Hello, everyone. This is Ana Pacheco, Santa Fe 101.com. My guest today is Chantel Lovato from Santa Rosa. And Chantel, do I have your permission to record this interview?
Yes,
Oh, good. So please, I know you're the executive director. It's the Guadalupe Community Development Corporation. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And
Yes,
I
we are.
want to, before we even get started, I want people that may be watching this interview to know she's one of the heroes. She is one of our heroes right now. During this interview, she has three school-age children at home, and they are doing their Zoom classes. And so, talk about a superwoman. Not only is she executive director of this incredible organization, she's actually got her three kids in front of computers doing their schoolwork. So, kudos to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for understanding. These days we're working and trying to do kids and
I
all
mean,
of that.
you're my hero. My children are grown, so I have, you are my hero. So, I had mentioned, I have heard about, like the Main Street organization that's in all the different counties, the 33 counties of New Mexico, but I really don't know what they do, and I want to know a little bit more about what's going on in Santa Rosa and in terms of the business community, the climate there, the environment, to let people who might be thinking about moving to New Mexico, maybe they'll consider Guadalupe County or Santa Rosa. So tell us a lot about what you do.
Perfect. So Guadalupe Community Development Corporation, we often just call it GCDC. We're a nonprofit, a 501c3. And we were originally created to work, with the city, the county, our school district, our local prison industry that's here in Guadalupe County. That's how we were originally formed, just to kind of bring resources into our community. And by having a 501c3, we're able to leverage that title so that we're able to bring funds in and really be a vehicle, to bring resources into our community that are needed. So once that was created, from there, we knew as a community, Santa Rosa, we wanted to apply for a Main Street accreditation. With that accreditation, it gives us resources on a state level. So we have access to landscape architects, revitalization specialists that will help with dilapidated buildings maybe that are inside of our community. In many rural communities, especially around Route 66, the buildings are old and they're dilapidated. And so many of communities like ours need assistance, with getting grants and helping build more of the structure of those buildings back up. And so the program actually helps with things like that in a very specific district of your community. Additionally, we receive assistance for promotional activities. So we can also help kind of massage different programs that we may want to create in our communities, different tourist attractions, events. And Main Street actually can help with any of those technical assistances when it comes to creating marketing, creating a destination, and enhancing the promotion, inside of our community. So as a 501c3, we also run that in our community alongside with our City of Santa Rosa partners. There's so much to go into and what Main Street really does bring into our small communities, but a lot of it has to do with the technical services that they help provide to local partners here on
And
the ground.
what about if somebody were watching this interview, if somebody wanted to move to your area, do you help in that area, or is there a chamber in Santa Rosa that would do that? Or
There is not a chamber in our community, and sometimes Main Streets, throughout New Mexico and throughout the United States work in conjunction with, a chamber of commerce. But we're such a small community that Main Street really can work with the city or the county, regards to promotions and tourist destination stuff.
but
Um,
have you stepped into the shoes of being a chamber as well, in terms of like businesses that are already up and running, that do you assist businesses that currently exist, and what about new businesses that want to come to your area?
Absolutely. And that falls also in line with our Guadalupe community development work, where it's helping small business owners, especially during pandemic relief, guiding them towards grant writing. With any financial assistance we can help provide, just with connecting them to resources that are out there as well as expertise. So we do that already. and also helping them structure events in business districts, to help, bring customers into their doors. And so we do all of those things.
And in terms of, you mentioned you have the prison industry. I remember I was on a board in the 1990s with a gentleman from Santa Rosa. His name was Canuto Sanchez. I don't know if you know the name, but anyway, that was right around the time they were thinking of taking the federal prison away from Santa Fe into Santa Rosa. And so that did actually happen. Is that a big employer for Santa Rosa?
It is. It's one of our largest employers here. We also have our local school district, and then our city and our county are probably one of the largest.
What type of, for small business owners, what type of businesses already exist there?
It is a lot of tourism, and hospitality, I would say. Being in Santa Rosa, we really are an oasis in the desert. So we have Blue Hole, we have our Park Lake that has a huge Whibbit water park attraction on it in the summertime. We get scuba diving in Santa Rosa. You can get certified for deep water scuba diving because of our Blue Hole. And so we really are centered in a place in the summer that is booming. And so we've got a lot of hotels, a lot of dining with authentic New Mexican food. And so you're going to see a lot of that.
And what are you lacking? What could somebody watching this interview bring to Santa Rosa? What type of businesses do you wish you could grow?
I think, if I think about it and where we're positioned, and the assets that our community has, is we have a lot of outdoor activities, and so bringing outdoor recreation, it would be really great to have bike rentals, and different things that involve the outdoor, because we really are positioned next to lakes. The Pecos River runs right through. We've got a lot of history. Within about a 10 to 15-minute drive, you're out in Puerto de Luna. That is absolutely beautiful. And if anybody has seen the movie Cars, I always say, as those Disney cars are driving through and you see all the really beautiful rock formations and colors, that's just right outside of our community. And so it really is a wonderful place to bring families, because there's tons for you to do. During this pandemic, my kids have had the joys of still being able to go out to our lake that's just a hop, skip, and a jump from our home, because you have access to natural lakes that are all around us for fishing, boating, jet skis, really just about anything that you can imagine outdoor wise you're able to do here. So I think that would be an additional business in a way, to come in, and kind of fill those voids, in our community.
You were also mentioning the you can get certified for deep sea diving. What was the place that you mentioned? What is it where they go to do that?
It's the Blue Hole.
The Blue Hole. What is that?
It's actually a blue hole that's in the ground. It's the same temperature all year round. It's very cold. It's actually, I believe, always 70 degrees all year round. But we have scuba divers that come from all over to go in, and it's actually, it tunnels down. And so if you can imagine this really beautiful blue hole in the ground, the water is crystal clear, and scuba divers come in because they can get down super deep. But there's actually a net that covers the bottom, where as scuba divers, you don't want to go too deep because it does tunnel and there's caverns. And so it's still trying to understand where do all of those tunnels go. And so it's really beautiful, but people come from all over.
And this is a natural occurring blue body of water in the ground. It's natural. It wasn't created.
It was not created.
And how deep does it go?
I don't know, but they do actually have it capped off. So you can only go to a certain level, for people's safety.
And there's also there's like caves and caverns underneath this water, and in this body of water.
There is, yes.
Oh, I had no idea. So other than scuba divers, can other people utilize this body of water, or is it just used for scuba diving?
Yes, people actually come in, if they go swimming during the summer. There's tons of people that actually, they have kind of like streams that run from it. The water's really cold. You have kids that come in and dive down into the water. Everybody has to look it up because it's definitely a really cool attraction that our community has. But people come in and go swimming all the time.
Excellent. I had no idea that existed in I mean, this is New Mexico, Santa Fe is my hometown, so New Mexico is my home state. But I mean, this is something new, that something I did not know about New Mexico, and especially Santa Rosa. So you're saying that, so like, outdoor recreational businesses would be something. Are there any businesses that are pretty, that would be well suited for your area, that don't pertain to tourism? Because what we're finding now, I mean, the whole state is suffering greatly right now because of the pandemic, and tourism will come back, and we're all grateful for that. But what are some of the other like industries that could possibly do well in your area?
We also, and I think the pandemic has definitely created other avenues, and we've got to be creative about how we think about work, and sustainability from a financial standpoint, and so one of the things that we've been talking a lot about, is remote work, and really having a place for that in our community where people can come in for remote work, and creating hubs, in small communities where people are able to still work remotely for large companies that provide benefits. And so we're currently kind of looking at that from a stability standpoint, just because of what COVID has done, in our community. And so, that's one of the things we're also discussing, because we do have really large facilities here that could support remote work employees, where they can come in together and create kind of a cohort of individuals that all work from very large corporations but are still able to live, in small communities, and live in a small tight knit community versus being in a large urban area.
Right. Well, that's kind of like the whole reason for these interviews, is to let people know that might be considering New Mexico, what each community would be like. But you say you have like extra large facilities. Do you mean you have buildings where you'd want these remote workers to all go to a building, or what did you mean by that?
We do have like convention centers, and buildings like that we are looking at being multiple purpose buildings, where you can up the internet. And I think that's the really great part of being in a small community. We have Guadalupe County Hospital, so we do have medical, here in our community, that people are able to get relatively easy. We have a small grocery store that's here, so we do have the necessities. But you also have the joys of being in a small community where everybody knows everybody. And, our school district works very closely with our city, our county, our hospital. And you don't see that siloing as much, because you see people really working together, because the people that it benefits are your neighbors and your family. And
And
so
what is the population of Santa Rosa these days?
roughly about 2,500.
2,500. And you're right. I know Route 66 used to go through there. What are you, right near I-40 then?
We're right off of I-40. We're about an hour and 30 minutes from Albuquerque. We've got Edgewood, who's not very far as well, that many people do grocery shopping and stuff like that there. It's about an hour drive from us if you need to do major bulk grocery shopping. But yeah, I mean, in a small community, we're able to be creative with buildings that maybe don't belong to our school. I know during our pandemic, we had some families that were in need of internet access. And so our city opened up these really large buildings. We upped the internet service so that kids could go in with families and have access to things like that. And so when we think of those buildings, we also can think about repurposing them, for remote work, any of those kind of things.
Okay. And then, so tell me so you're in Santa Rosa, but this is, you oversee the Guadalupe County. What are some of the other like communities near you that might provide some type of, that might be attractive to people thinking of getting away from it all? They could survive financially, they could work remotely, but they could be like outside of even Santa Rosa, which is small, but maybe they want something even smaller.
Well, and if you're looking for something even smaller, we do have many ranching communities that are nearby. We have Anton Chico, that's not very far. It's in between Santa Rosa and Las Vegas, New Mexico. Very open land, and that's what you see the majority of. It's another large industry here, is the farming and ranching community. And with us being in Santa Rosa and around this area, there is lots of natural water that is available. We have Vaughn as well. It's a little bit larger, but still very, very small community. And we have Newkirk. So it's still very remote.
And
I would,
isn't, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Vaughn, or is, maybe it still is, wasn't it a railroad town? Didn't the railroad go right through Vaughn?
yes, it did. Yes.
Does it
And
still
it
go through?
still does.
Okay, good. And would that be like an Amtrak or something, or just like rail, trains that just move products?
Trains that are doing mass movement. And so
Oh,
none of the Amtrak's, and I believe it is United Pacific. They also come through Santa Rosa, and we've got a really beautiful Ilfield warehouse where that was used for, you know, for drop-offs, of big products. And so you see that just coming through our entire county.
so maybe in a place like Vaughn, somebody could get involved with the railroad somehow, doing something, some type of work that way, storage areas, or I don't know what they do out there, but maybe something along those lines. So what about in terms of in your community, is it known as are you getting retirees? Are retirees coming to Santa Rosa these days?
Not necessarily, we do see, like in all of New Mexico, where we're not seeing an influx of movement, you know, but I think that's where, our organization works to create the best quality of living that we can for the individuals that are here. We have an older population close to retirement that does live here. But we've got some really exciting things going on with our schools and with our city, that I think will be attracting, young families to come in, because it really does provide a safe place for children to live. Your kids really still do have the freedom to play and ride their bikes outside, and everybody. I jokingly tell my kids, I'm like, once you're older and you get a driver's license, if you decide to speed, this is the best place in the world because I'll know about it within 5 minutes. And so it does create that really nice environment where kids, my children are able to walk, essentially 4 or 5 blocks and go to, an old fashioned candy store, or go get ice cream. And so it does have that walkability for families where, you do see kids out riding their bikes all day long, and or grabbing fishing poles and putting them on bikes and going down to the creek that's not very far. So it does lend that small town feel, that does feel very safe and comfortable for families.
And is the city of Santa Rosa, are they building like apartment complexes, or are there places that maybe not everybody, somebody I had heard, because I've interviewed a lot of realtors, that Santa Rosa doesn't even have a realtor, and people don't sell their houses there. They just pass them on to their other family members. Or are there any new housing developments or apartments going up? If people wanted to come to your community, is it easy to get in?
It can be difficult. I will say, like, that's probably one of the biggest challenges for the reasons that you said. Um, because there's so many families that are established here, that have generations that are here. Homes do continue to get passed down. Same thing happens even with land. There are some opportunities for growth, um, but I think those are conversations and those are things that are still in the works. But that is one of our biggest challenges. We
And
do have
so,
a couple of
so if somebody were watching this video, maybe they were like developers. I mean, like they wanted, are there opportunities in your area to like buy a large parcel of land and start a new neighborhood, a housing development?
I think possibly, yes,
Is your
because we
community
do have
open to
open
that?
areas.
Yeah. So are you one of those Santa Rosa families? Have you been there for generations and that's why you're there?
No, I actually haven't. I was kind of a prison industry kid, I guess I would say. We moved here because the prison was here, and my dad, at one time, was the warden of the prison here. And so he moved his family here, and my dad decided to stay. Um, and I moved to Albuquerque and went to college and met my husband, and we had 3 children of our own. And we were in the hustle and bustle of a big community and constantly at least 30 minutes away from our kids, and had them in daycare. And we both kind of decided, like, we need to slow our life down and enjoy our kids while they're little. And so my husband actually was the one that said, let's move back to let's move to Santa Rosa. He's from the big city. And so we moved here about almost 5 years ago. And I would say it's been one of the best decisions. Our kids really have a very enjoyable childhood, I think. And we're able to be with them. I'm home right now with all 3 of my kids.
And how
Um,
old are your children?
I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and we have a 5-year-old.
Well, it's certainly with the quality of life is way better or much nicer in a place like Santa Rosa, I would think, than a bigger city like Albuquerque. We're at the end of the interview. Is there anything else you want to say about the Guadalupe Community Development program that you oversee, and maybe like an enticement or somebody to contact you to come to maybe take a look at investing and coming to live in your what beautiful town of Santa Rosa?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, first off, for the opportunity to speak with you. You know, as a 501c3, we're happy to partner and bring resources into our community or tap into resources that are out there to make the quality of life better for any of the residents or any of the people who are looking to eventually relocate to Santa Rosa. Um, so if anybody has any questions or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to myself. I don't know, will you list my contact
I was
information?
going to say that along with this interview, your organization's URL, your contact information, the phone and email will all be on santafe101.com, probably by the end of business today.
Awesome. Well, anybody can feel free to reach out to me and I can answer any questions. We always are looking to grow and make our community even better. So yeah, nobody hesitate to reach out, and maybe you'll come and visit Santa Rosa and see the wonderful Blue Hole.
I'm going to come see the Blue Hole. Listen, thank you again. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much.